I figured I should do some highlights on some of the new light tanks that were introduced in patch 9.3. So this is the new Tier 7 Russian light tank, the LTTB. It's basically like the MT-25 before it, or the T-50-2 that it sort of came from. It's a quick tank. It's got the same sort of profile as the MT-25, where it's kind of tallish. The gun handling is okay. The gun itself is not tremendous when you look at the other light tanks that were introduced, but it's decent enough. The accuracy is fine. The drawback to this tank, gun handling wise, is that it has very little depression. So this is a map, Fisherman's Bay, that we've done at least one other time before, and we'll sort of talk about it. It's a little bit different when you're in a faster tank. If you're on this north spawn, there's a number of places that you can go in here to spot what their southern dispersion is like, so we'll be able to spot the tanks that head east here. And you'll see that they'll send a Type 64 through here, so we have to get out of here, and then what you want to just do is use this building to sort of shield you from any direct fire, and then once you get down on the side of the hill, it's going to be much more difficult to shoot you. But we want to see what else we can find over there. Was that, you know, the only things that they sent? There's a lot of tank destroyers on both teams, so it's something that you want to sort of feel out as far as where they all ended up going. If you look at our team, we sent 5 of our tank destroyers to one side, which is not always the best thing ever. And we're able to spot a JT over here. So they have a JT in the middle, which is sort of a questionable choice as to why you would send that there. But a JT is relatively easy enough to keep lit, so the rationale should be that if you can keep that JT lit, then eventually your artillery is going to be able to kill him. So we don't have the best dispersion in the world, right? We got a heavy over here, an STI over here, and we just got shot by our T-28 prototype. But we've got decent amount of tanks in the middle, which is important to control if you don't have a lot of tanks down here, because it keeps these guys, like, it keeps this IS-6 from getting whacked. So I'm just trying to find this JT. If you look at our tank destroyer setup over here, they're all sitting far back on this back line, so they don't really spot anything until it gets up on them, which usually means that all of these guys are going to get obliterated without trading very well. So in the meantime, if you look down here, our IS-6 is pushing down this alley right here. And so, as always, you want to be looking at your guys to figure out when they're going to be pushing or if they push, so that you can try to figure out how to help them. He hasn't spotted anything else in here, so we know that the super Pershing is down there. The STI is coming to help. So it's usually best to go in here and help finish things off. The tortoise was just lit back here. And a lot of times people will have, especially newer players, will have problems with killing the super Pershing. Or damaging the super Pershing. All you gotta do is just get to the flank or the rear, and then when you're the light tank here, you always want to be ready to go, so that if he does try to turn and shoot you, that all you gotta do is just, you know, leave around this corner. Right, and so owning this town makes this center more vulnerable and gives you shots up here. And then once you clear out the center, now we have control of the east, more or less, except for the tortoise. But see how they're all pushed up under our tank destroyers over here? So our tank destroyers aren't going to last very much longer there. So you should be thinking on this side, well, okay, we know that they've got a bunch of tanks on their west side, and at least for now, you know, these guys are camping out. But eventually, we'll probably lose that side. Okay, so this STI is continuing to push forward, so I can't push that tortoise by myself, depending on where exactly he's at. But with this STI pushing, I can certainly help him, because I'm not entirely confident that the STI can kill the tortoise on his own.
It's a trap!
And so the tortoise is sort of splitting the difference between the STI and myself, so I need to wait. And then once the tortoise fires, then I can get around to the next building. See, he just fired just there. and he's currently tracked. And so the STI is on his side. For some reason, the Super Pershing decides to try to shoot him in the face. Go figure. And then this is where the lack of gun depression kind of helps me, because I have difficulty firing down into the engine deck from the angle that I'm at. And then here's where the STI just doesn't play this very well. So even though I'm on slightly lower ground than the Taurus, I have to finagle the tank a little bit to be able to shoot him. And that's the limitation of this particular tank. But we're able to wrap that up. See, we're still holding out over here, although they're down to 2 guys. I know that there's a JT-88 over here someplace, so JT-88 does not have good camo, so if I just poke up over here, I should be able to figure out which way he's facing.
It's a trap.
And it appears that he has decided to face me. But then I notice that as I'm going around here, he's still facing south. So what I'm going to do is, I've dropped spot now. Usually about the time you drop spot on him, he will drop spot on you. So then I'm going to cut in here, and then I'll see which way he's facing. He's still facing to the south. Go figure. So all I'm going to do is just get on his side here. I don't want to get behind him here, because it's been a long time since anybody on that west side's been spotted. So if they came back to the west side, I want to use this guy as a shield so that they don't have easy shots on me. And then it's down to 3. And so, presumably, at least some of these guys came back. The ISU just pops up over here, which is not good for him. And so what I need to do is figure out where exactly these guys are on this line. And so I spot the T-43 here, and this is another example of the bad depression. I can't actually shoot down far enough to shoot him, or aim down far enough to shoot him, which is unfortunate. But so I can't really fight him very effectively here if I can't even aim at him. So what I'm going to do is go around here and see if I can get a flank on. Our T-28 Proto, who shot me earlier, is slowly driving across the plains. And so I don't know exactly where that Wheezy is either, so it would be decent information to have. So what I'm going to do is I'm basically going to start up here, and then I'm going to go down the one line to basically eliminate all possible sort of hiding spots. And I have 7 minutes left in the game, so I have plenty of time to do so. And it turns out that he's not here, so I take my time going through here though, just in case, because like I said, I have plenty of time. And so, sort of in summary, like the tank is good because it's speedy, and you can use that speed and acceleration and mobility to get through narrow gaps that you can't necessarily get to. The drawbacks are the limited firepower and the lack of depression, which hurts you on a lot of seemingly even terrain. You're still gonna have issues with the gun depression, unfortunately. But otherwise, it's a pretty fun tank to play, and if you like playing the MT-25 or the old T-50-2, it's a very similar play style. But like in terms of using it to break gaps, like for example down that 8-line push where we've basically followed in our Super Pershing and our STI into their Super Pershing and their Tortoise. That's a good place to utilize its speed, not just of this tank, but of any tank of reasonable speed. So in summary, we did a good job just in terms of the Fisherman's Bay play. We didn't really send that much to the city, but we had more than enough in the middle to keep the guys in, the guys that they had in the middle, the JT, the Type 59, the Type 64, honest, right? So that they couldn't just obliterate our IS-6 down here, which, would have probably made the STI more hesitant to actually do anything. We sent a bunch of tank destroyers over here who ended up doing, very little in terms of the game. And I just recalled that I forgot to load the stats for this, so we're going to have to go without stats. So take my word for it, they did not really contribute a whole lot to the game, and they just ended up dying there. And that's mostly because they didn't have any eyes, so they didn't see anything until it was literally up on them, on the other side of the building from them, and they were proxy spotting, and that's always going to be an issue, and that's basically why all of those guys died. And that JT-88 that was camping in A5 the whole game, technically was their backstop, which is never what you really want to say. But because we were efficient enough in trading on this east side, right, we took out the 8 line, which allowed us to kill the middle, which then allowed us to kill everything else in the base. In the meantime, so we won this entire eastern flank. In the meantime, their western flank had stalled out for the most part, and that's pretty much the difference in the game. Anyhow, so I hope you enjoyed that, watching the LTTB, and thanks for watching.